Hey everybody, welcome to Rants by Michaela. So the last time I did a rant, we left off with don't chase anyone who doesn't value you. If there's anyone whose presence, whose attention, whose companionship, whose friendship you appreciate, but it's starting to look like they're not reciprocating or returning the same appreciation towards you and your friendship, it's time to move on and go ahead and get new friends. There's just no reason for being in a place where you're not wanted. Now, every single time I load up one of these YouTube videos, I also post the link in my Facebook newsfeed for my friends and family to have easy access to and take a look at. And in my Facebook, my cousin made a really great point. And she said, what if the reason why the appreciation is not being returned is because the friend is very negative and judgmental? So the other person is actually avoiding them. So I'm going to go ahead and touch base on this because she makes a great point. We do all know friends and family members that are negative Nancy's. They're always complaining about their ailments and their illnesses. I think one of the things that my friends told me who are from Belgium and France is that internationally, Americans have a reputation for quote unquote bragging about our illnesses. As a result, every single time you try to give them a solution to a problem, they make a problem out of a solution, so to speak. We've got people who are constantly complaining about what's going on with their spouses, with their kids, with their jobs. They're always gossiping about other people, talking about what's going on in somebody else's life. They're being judgmental of other people's behaviors and actions. They always have something to say about what that person did or did not do, how they could have done it better, how they would not have done the same thing. And it gets to the point where you don't even want to talk to that person anymore because they carry with them low vibrational energy through the mindless and senseless conversation that they're trying to have. And I can understand that. But what I would say to that is talk to that person. Let them know that those are not the type of conversations that you like to have. And that way that person can switch up the conversation. I remember reading a book. It was called The Common Sense Guide to Balancing Your Chakras. And it's a book written by Sonia Choquette, Choquette. And in the book, it talks about how a woman was friends with another woman. And this woman was always complaining about what was going on in her life. She was a housewife who was being verbally and mentally abused by her husband, didn't have the guts to stand up to him because at the end of the day, he was the breadwinner of the family. And she was afraid of going out and getting a job and making her own income and establishing some sort of independence so that she could get away. So the way that she coped with being in this abusive relationship was by venting all the time to her friend who would listen to her. Finally, at one point in time, her friend told her, hey, I'm sorry, but I do not have the capacity to accept your negative energy right now. Let's go ahead and change the subject. And I think that that was such a beautiful, positive, politically correct, polite way of addressing the negativity of the conversation so that they could switch the subject and talk about something more positive. And that's the type of energy that the second friend needs to be bringing over to the first negative friend. If you're truly friends, then you should be able to have that conversation and say, hey, I don't want to hear this right now. I'll be very honest with you. I don't want to hear this right now. Let's talk about something else. If you're not a friend, but you're actually a coward, then what you do is you try to avoid people and situations that make you feel uncomfortable. It'll get to the point where you're not calling them, you're not returning their calls, you're making excuses for why they can't come visit you, you're rejecting invitations to events, the whole shebang, all because you didn't want to say, hey, listen, every single time I get around you, you're always talking about something negative, and that's not what I want to hear. So communication is key to any relationship. We always talk about communication is key when it comes to relationships with spouses, but communication is also key when it comes to friendships and relationships with family members. So feel free to speak up. Now, while some people may be going out of their way to avoid that person because they don't have the guts to speak up, hence letting us know that that wasn't a real friendship. Because if you're ever afraid to say something to someone, then that's not your friend. You should never be afraid to say something to your friend. You should know exactly how to say something to your friend in a way that they can understand and they can appreciate. And most people appreciate a straightforward attitude. Straightforwardness and honesty are so rare these days that when you finally hear it, it's a breath of fresh air. That candor is so appreciated. But one of the things that I appreciate, one of the reasons why I have never told a friend, hey, I don't want to hear it, is because I appreciate the fact that they trust me with the deepest, darkest secrets of their lives and that information. They know that they have a support system in me, and hopefully I have a support system in them for them to be confident enough to know that they can hold me in that confidence, to be able to vent to me and tell me some of the most intimate secrets of their lives that not even their family knows, and appreciate my advice to give them to help them get through it. That's what a lot of people don't understand, is while you're upset that that person is being negative or may seem like they're being judgmental, they're actually trusting you with information they may not be trusting with anybody else. Because what happens is, if you've got family and friends who are constantly telling you they don't want to hear it, and then you feel like you have no one to talk to, guess what you end up needing to do? You end up needing to go to therapy. And the first day of therapy, I can only imagine, is one of the most depressing days of a person's life, because they have to pay someone to listen to them in a way their own friends and family were not able to listen to them, in which case they don't really have an emotional support system. Therapy is around for two reasons. One, when you don't have an emotional support system, and two, when none of your friends or family members are equipped to help you get through whatever struggles it is that you're getting through. I'll give you an example. I just found out from December to January, a really good friend of mine and one of my favorite family members who I always confide in just lost someone. I've never truly had to grieve anyone. The closest person in the world that I lost was my great-grandmother, but because she was pushing 90 and she was constantly getting sick more closer to the days of her passing, I knew it was coming. I don't know what it's like to lose someone you for damn sure thought you were going to see that night or the next day. I don't know what it's like to lose someone like that. So I'm ill-equipped to help someone grieve as much as I can be there for them. Therapy is for people who don't have an emotional support system or whose emotional support system are not equipped to deal with that type of energy. But if you've got someone who you have to tell to go to therapy to deal with their issues, you're admitting that you have no intentions of being that support system. Hence why so many people with anxiety and depression are committing suicide, because they can go to a psychiatrist and get medicated for all of the things that's going on with them mentally and emotionally. But if by the time that medication kicks in and you learn to stop being depressed and to get on with your life, you still have to deal with the reality that you are alone in this world, because the friends that you thought you had were actually cowards, constantly telling you how much they didn't want to be bothered by you, what you had to say, and what you were going through. So that's a situation where friend B needs to look inward and start to think, am I avoiding this person because they're negative, or do I not really know how to be a good friend? Am I someone that's just cool to hang out with, but not the type of person who can be really close with you like that? Am I a user? Do I need to fix my behavior and change my personality for the better? Is it really them that's being negative, or is it me that doesn't know what real friendship is? So anyway, food for thought. That's my rant. You guys have a good one.